Welcome back to session 5. We are halfway through this first theme or this series of sessions for lecture management, and we're now on session 5, halfway through human resource management and strategy. We've been laying a foundation thus far, and we're now going to look at how these two are connected explicitly. A reminder of the 5 themes or the 5 lecture series. Each lecture, don't forget, contains 10 sessions. So we're halfway through lecture 1, the role of human resource management. Learning outcomes for this session, again, the role and purpose of strategic human resource management. So a quick few reminders as we have been traveling for the last 5 sessions. We have discovered and we are working with a definition from Story cited in Rees & Smith, a distinctive approach. So not just doing the old personnel management kind of ticking boxes, but actually developing something which is distinctive. We talked in session 4 about Viro, something which creates a unimitable pattern or synergy. This is the distinctive approach that human resource management can create. To employment management, which seeks to achieve, not just fulfilling, roles, keeping track of leave, but actually to achieve something far greater. And we've looked at that in models in previous sessions. And what we're trying to achieve is the way in which we manage these human resources. We want to achieve competitive advantage. And we're going to do this through applying models and theories, which of course we are learning here in this module. We're doing this through strategic development of highly committed and capable workforce. I'm going to look at that in a little bit more detail now, using an integrated array of cultural, structural, and personnel techniques. We're doing this obviously within the context of organizations. We've looked at definitions of what an organization is, and within these organizations, human resource management and its strategy needs to align with the strategy of the organization. This means we need to have an understanding of corporate strategy. Corporate strategy defines the scope, which industries, which markets, how big, how many. And of course, this needs to align with the business level strategy of competing, generating value, and all of this is about wanting to ensure competitive advantage. So again, just a reminder of those definitions. And here I've made the words in bold, which clearly and explicitly links to human resource management and clearly and explicitly indicates how human resource management is linked to strategy. Again, a reminder of some of the models that we've looked at, and again, how this can be explicitly linked, therefore, to the involvement in strategy. On the bottom left-hand corner, the day-to-day focus, the human resource service delivery, the admin, the functional, the expert within those various functions. This in the past has been pretty much what human resource management did. But new business, the new way in which organizations are being structured, and the greater demand for competitive advantage means that human resource management, and in this case strategic human resource management, has moved into the other 3 squares to a larger degree, taking on a more strategic focus, but also looking to transform and change people within the organization, to change the organization, and of course, therefore, to empower and therefore involve employees as champions in this process. Therefore, it's about translating the business strategy into the organization in terms of its human resources, and making sure that this is done consistently by the line managers, and therefore the human resource management executives are building the strategy and action plan, crafting, designing, and improving these functions across the organization. You can clearly and explicitly see how human resource management, as strategic human resource management, is linked to strategy. It is pretty inconceivable in today's modern organizations to imagine an effective strategy which does not include human resource management. But again, the challenge is, does human resource management follow or lead, right? And that's the challenge here. Now, clearly we want to lead in the process and be around the table in the design of strategy and what human resource management will be contributing to that strategy. But again, the training of human resource management executives to have that, we've looked at business acumen and these kinds of things, is so. Yes, this is just another illustration of the ways in which organizations are viewed, and therefore the implications of how they are viewed, what this means in terms of human resource management functions, and therefore then how this is connected to its strategy. I'm going to be honing in on the contingency theory. Our next slide will go into this in a little bit more detail, but I wanted to show you the contingency theory within a scope of other views of an organization. So let's start on the left-hand side, an organizational learning perspective, learning organizations. It's a very common topic within organizations, particularly in a broader understanding of lifelong learning. The advantages, it highlights the value of ongoing education. We know that labor markets continue to change. We're going to look at this later on when it comes to technology. So the reskilling and upskilling of your present labor force, trying new things and exchanging knowledge. Also how, when we have people leaving the company, How do we manage the knowledge they leave with? How do we enable the knowledge they have to remain within the company and therefore create this culture of a learning organization? The weaknesses, the effective learning processes also need infrastructure, time, money, and a supporting organizational culture where we encourage learning. Quite often learning also means challenging and being critical. And again, if you have a leadership which is all about control, learning organizations pretty much don't really, they're not giving the oxygen to breathe, and therefore they don't often survive. In terms of resource dependence theory, this draws attention to the importance of the inter-organizational links and power dynamics. So this could be the way in which departments link with each other, but also in terms of multinationals, how regions, functional divisions, etc. relate to each other, and how knowledge and abilities are shared across these. Don't forget, in a lot of these kinds of diverse organizations, there are transferable skills. So how do we take advantage of these transferable skills in order to create something which is unique to the organization? Again, think about session 4, where we talked about the resource-based view, and we talked about VIRO, right? Something that adds value and that is not easily imitable in other organizations. The weaknesses, this viewpoint could ignore organizational dynamics and internal elements such as culture, leadership, and competencies. And again, it creates a bar across the entire organization in terms of this resource or competencies or capabilities, and to raise the bar in order to raise the standards throughout the entire company is very expensive. And again, you need buy-in from everybody. We'll skip the contingency theory for the moment. I'll come back to this one in a minute. Human relations perspective. So it acknowledges the importance of informal structures, group dynamics, and employee satisfaction. You have a number of academic journals such as Team Performance Journal, which looks at the dynamics of teams and how these work. I have just recently produced a paper with a colleague of mine around imposter syndrome and strategic imposters. And the impact that this has on teams and the dynamics within teams, which therefore also influences the dynamics within an organization. The weaknesses of this particular perspective is it occasionally minimizes the contribution of formal structures because it looks at the informal elements within the company, procedures and strategic considerations which can be used to provide change, because it just focuses on the informal. Systems theory, this is a big one that I'm involved in quite regularly, and it's my definition of an organization as well, or my bias of an organization. It offers a comprehensive framework for comprehending, adapting, and change in an organization, and particularly thinking about triple loop learning and how decisions that are made in one sector of the organization may impact other aspects within the organization, sometimes unknowingly. So for example, if you think about an organization such as a body, if I just keep eating takeaways, I'm going to start to have an effect on other elements of my health, which was not directly related, but does have an implication based on, for example, nutrition. The same thing in terms of sleep, exercise, etc. Very intricate systems, and there are implications across the entire system. Finally, the contingency theory, and we're going to look at this in the next slide. It highlights the necessity of adaptable strategies which are catered for certain situations. Now, again, don't forget, we have constantly been asking and thinking about the different sizes of companies, how long they've existed, and the kinds of structures that they have. The contingency theory therefore applies different strategies and different approaches based on these kinds of contingencies. And therefore, quite often an associate term that comes with contingency theory is what's called HR bundles. So having a number of resources that you bundle together based on the contingency or the situation, a situational analysis. The weaknesses is it might also need help giving precise instructions for negotiating challenges and unclear situations. And again, you can appreciate that this is also quite an expensive approach. But health. This therefore also leads to another illustration of human resource management linked to strategy, and this is the AMO model. And basically what this means is that in order to ensure a high impact, a high involvement of human resource management in the strategy of the company, clearly the people need an ability, they need knowledge, skills, in order to have high competency capabilities, and this is influenced by HR practices such as the kinds of recruitment processes, our selection, and effective training and development. Clearly, the workforce also needs to be motivated. Therefore, again, this is influenced by HR practices such as employment security, performance reviews, compensation, bonus schemes, work-life balance, etc., etc. So updated policies for the modern world, particularly post-COVID. And finally, the O stands for, of course, an opportunity for employers to have a voice and be involved, the human capital element, right? And this is influenced by practices such as employee involvement and participation, teamwork, job design, equality, diversity and inclusion, etc., etc. So again, you can clearly see here that human resource management is involved in strategy. And there is a very clear link between strategic human resource management